Chairman,
Good to see
welcome.
you.
It's good to see you. We're glad we finally gotten here. We normally spend a little time going through the formalities, but I think everybody knows why we're here, and we probably need to move in a fairly expeditious manner and move quickly. So I would hope that we can kind of get to a point where we know where we're starting from. Have you gotten a differences sheet?
No,
I'm sorry.
I haven't.
I know I've got one for him. How about?
Got one for you and the rest of them
Okay.
will be in black and white.
All right, so we'll have those here in just a moment, but what we're trying to do, the differences is based off of our budget and your budget. We have, of course, what's out there was proposed from last week. We had two different versions, one from Lieutenant Governor and one from, I'm assuming, from the Senate. And we're trying to, before we can actually start presenting offers and working together, we want to make sure we're working from the same position, I guess, is what we're trying to do here, Senator. And
Well, we have a position today. We passed a budget today.
yes, sir.
That's our position. You know, I don't know, staff was doing some stuff last week. We were working on 08. So anything
Okay,
you got
so-
from last week, it's just from last
So the
week.
offers from last week
We just
are
passed a budget.
are
They
not
50 to
standing.
nothing. I mean, we're ready to go.
We passed on 171 to 1, so we are too. If you want to work
Yeah.
from our position, we'll work from our differences.
I mean, I'm ready to work from your budget is passed and our budget is passed.
Okay, so
Yeah,
we're
I mean,
not
what- I've never heard of anything like this. What are you saying? I mean,
No, that's what I was asking. If we were going to be working from these are.
I think
We took these in good
budget and
faith,
our
assuming we were working on them. And
Charlie, is that what this is?
no, those are differences from our budget. Those are differences from our budget, and that's what we're trying to ask for.
I mean, these are good. These are items.
These are items that were here, and that's what we're asking for.
Did you all accept those when they were offered?
We made we accepted some of them with our proposals that came back.
Thank you very much, but we don't want them.
No, sir, that's not. I saw the proposal sent back there, Senator, that included some of these and added some others.
But we were right here working. Where were we all?
Oh, I was in my district every day.
I was too.
Okay, that's pretty good, actually. I mean, really, I mean,
We were
we were ready to talk. We were ready to talk.
Well, I mean, but
And-
if these
Sure.
projects
Yeah, but you know,
are good,
I don't know. You have to talk to whoever you talk about them to, because I hadn't had a conversation with anybody about it.
So these are not y'all.
I
So
don't
are you
know.
accepting those now?
Well, yeah, these are just a list of the projects that were in the House budget.
My question is, the offer that you said was made, is now that acceptable, what you turned down last week?
We didn't turn it down, Senator. We made a counter offer.
We made a counter.
We made a counter
and
offer.
and never heard
All
back.
right, so you're starting from the counter offer.
Well, that's what we're trying to determine. Which
We're-
one do we start from?
Well, make us an offer. You know, make us an offer.
I'm,
What do you got to put on the table today?
I'm happy with what we did last week. We passed 171 to 1, and I guess I can go from there.
Well, we passed one
that's-
today, so that's a good place to start. So we threw it all out, or are you going to bring it back in?
Well, that's up to y'all. Y'all made those offers last week, not us.
Yeah, the last one was the 30th.
Yeah. You know, you're sitting here
That's
with
that
Tom
one.
Paris, so I'm ready to talk. I don't know, I mean, we were working on 08 last week. So really good.
Which one of the projects in the House budget are just unacceptable to you?
Well, let me ask you this. What in our budget do you not agree with? Can we start off by just you saying, well, we agree on all these things, and we'll start from there, and then go to your budget? I mean, we got a good, pretty clean budget.
Well, we
just
get-
tell us what in our budget you don't agree
We
with.
agree with Peach Care, and we agree with.
All right, well, let's
Did
mark
you include
that off.
disaster relief? I don't know if y'all.
Let's mark that off. We're ready to talk about the things that are.
I think Peach Care. Peach Care. We had an agreement. If you look at the differences sheet, you'll see that. I
Well,
think
give us
it's
a list
on
of
there.
things in our budget that you agree with, and we're ready to go. We'll mark those off today.
Well, I think those things that
Expeditious.
those things that you agreed to in our budget are the things we agree with right
Make
now.
us a list. Since ours is shorter, you make us a list of everything in our budget.
We've given
agree on.
we've given you a differences sheet, Senator. I think that
Well,
shows what we agreed to.
We're
And,
ready to start. Let's just mark off the things we can agree on and get going.
I think everything we agree on is everything but what's on the differences sheet,
Things on the differences.
right here.
What I just handed you, Senator.
So you're okay with the indigent defense?
You're all right with everything in our budget,
Indigent
and then we'll
defense?
start to work on y'all's.
I said
Okay.
everything that's on the differences sheet. There's a difference on indigent defense, so we don't agree to that.
Okay, but everything else we agree on, you're ready.
Everything on there is the same. We agree to. That's we've got an agreement on that right now.
So after we check it and are sure these are all the differences, then we can mark off the things that are in our budget that y'all agree with.
but there are the things that were in our budget that you agreed with. That's what we agreed with.
Well, no, what I started out saying was, what in our budget can we agree on and set aside?
And
we'll look at it
what we've
from the
said is
standpoint of what's in yours.
what we sent you that y'all agreed to, we can set aside.
We'll look at it from the
Beach care,
standpoint of what's yours.
disaster relief, but all those things with
We
differences.
know what's in ours, because we just passed it 2 hours ago.
Yes, sir. When we know what's in ours too, we have a habit of doing that, of knowing what's in it before we pass it.
Okay.
So
Well,
right now we're
In an hour, we'll come back with our mutual list and see where we match it. How's that?
That'd be fine. I guess that's what we're trying to ask.
Yeah,
If
well,
this
we're
is
ready.
it, then we can
Are we-
start that. But if you've got another list, we'll hold
We're
it.
waiting
So
for
we're
your
not-
difference list.
You
We're
all
going to work off
rejected
of
that
that.
list when it was offered, so.
No,
I thought we
Senator,
were through with that. You're coming back to that? I thought we were working off the differences list. We're going to go look at your items off yours that we agree on. You're going to look at our items, and we're going to come back
That's
and
gonna be-
mark them all
we
off.
could probably be back in about 30 minutes because I
30
think that's
minutes.
peach care and disaster relief.
Yeah. But I don't think we'd agree to add bonds. So we
No, we don't. No, and
would
that's
not agree with
and
that.
we're not going
All
to do
right,
that.
Are we going to work off this or not? Is that y'all's proposal, to work off this? Okay. All right. Now, the next time you bring that up, I'm going to hold this up like they do in school. You know, when they hold their hand up and say, "Be quiet." I'm going to hold this up and remind you that we're going to work
Well,
off
you
this.
do what you want to. We're here to work out a distance.
Sure.
We're ready to do
We're
it.
ready to. We're
On
ready.
the grandstand, we continue more of the same.
We're not
here.
grand. We brought no props.
We didn't bring props either. These are things that were sent to us that we're trying to find out.
By you to us. Is that right?
Are we going to work off this list?
Is that not
Are we
correct?
going to work off this
Is
list?
that not correct?
Are we going to work off this list or not? You just said we're going to work off the differences list. So
Be glad to.
let's just, come on, guys. This is really important. We got to get
It's
to
very
work.
important.
It's very
I know
important.
it's
It is very
y'all to
important.
get to work, and our guys told us we want to grind it out, so we're ready. Let's
But
get
you
to
had
work.
things in here
Let's get
that
to
were
work.
part of our budget, and that's what we're asking.
Let's
What
get-
you said
let's get to
we're
work,
ready to
guys.
get
Come
to
on,
work.
what?
We're ready to get to work. You guys rejected every.
You going to work off of
project
differences
we
list, or you going to work off of something else? What are you going to work off? That's all I want.
Whatever you tell us.
Just give me an answer to the question.
That we're going to work off the budget. House Bill 94. We want to work on it. We want to get it right. We're not trying to do props. We're trying to find out were these legitimate offers.
You going to remove that, or you going to keep it laying there?
There were things in here we had agreement on.
That about me. I'm just trying to follow you when you say you're going to work off the differences list. The next thing I know, you're back talking about that.
Well, we're just saying there are things on there that y'all would agree with us on, and we agree with y'all on.
But they're
there
also
were the
probably
counteroffers.
on both on each
No,
side
sir.
of the budget.
No, sir, because everything that was sent in that is not in your budget. None of those were in your budget.
That's not true.
Well, let's work
None of the
off
things that were
differences.
offered there were in this budget. That's correct.
You had money in reserves.
None of the things that were in there
The
were
money in
in this
reserves
budget.
wasn't in that list?
Well, there were 2 or 3 different.
They're different numbers.
Hey guys, come on.
But the things that we're just
Hey, guys,
saying,
come on. Let's work off
we
the
had things that were
differences.
agreements
Let's get
there.
going. Come on, let's get going.
Okay.
This is silly. Now, y'all are all good folks and our friends, and we need to get going. Let's settle some differences.
We've been trying to.
Well,
We're
we could slam it. We would take all
And-
the projects that were put in the House budget, we support overwhelmingly. If there's some of those that y'all are absolutely opposed to, tell
Well,
us.
what we're going to do
So
is
just vote it all.
What we're going to do is, if we're going to look at our budget, and we look at your budget, and you come back and tell us which ones of our
Just
budgets you
did.
can't agree with, and we'll mark all of them off and go from there.
You already told us you don't agree with any of the House budget.
We can't even agree on a total. Can y'all tell me how many things y'all added? The total keeps getting really confusing. Is it 50 million or 39 or 46?
We've had the budget for 2
I
weeks.
don't know, but it's really confusing. I mean,
We've sat here for about an hour.
all right, you want 30 minutes, and we'll come back and see if we got some items we can agree on?
First, I'd like to, Chairman Hill, I'd like to know if there's admission on your side that there was just no communication whatsoever last week between the House and Senate on the budget.
Well, you know,
And I think that's important to
we
establish.
worked on 08
I-
all week.
well,
and,
I don't know how you work on 08, you don't have it yet. But
yeah, we actually have a copy.
oh,
We're ready.
you got a budget we passed?
As soon as you're ready to send us
I wanna
08
know if
Thursday,
there's an
I know
admission.
We'll send it right back to you.
Just like in school, you can raise your hand if you'd like. I'll raise my hand. I want an admission from your part, your side. Was there a
We're going to
communication
work
last
off the
week?
differences. We
Chairman
passed the
Hill.
budget
Well,
back,
is every
y'all
time
passed
somebody
one
asks you a
down.
question, you're going to raise that up?
just
He's
don't
asking you a
answer the
sincere, he's
question.
asking you a
We're
sincere
We're ready to go to
question.
work. Y'all are,
We are too, but he's trying
I
to
want you
answer
to
the question.
admit,
I don't understand.
was
what
there
you're
any
doing.
communication last week on the
Ben,
budget?
did I talk to you last week? Jared, did I talk to you last week?
Was there
Mark,
any
did I talk to you last
You
week?
sure didn't, but we have documents
I rest my
that
case.
your presiding officer
We
communicated with
rest
the
on the
House
bill
last
we
week,
passed today.
and those documents don't exist.
Hey, guys, let's go back to work.
That's what we're trying to do.
We're trying to get a starting point.
But
if we've got some things to agree on,
If
why
you've
don't we
gone
get that
through a
settled?
metamorphosis,
Let's
we
start
want
off
to hear
with the
it.
items in both our budgets we can agree on.
Just admit, it's
Stay
okay.
on this.
If you went through a metamorphosis, that's fine. Just tell us.
Hey, I think our bill today speaks for itself.
Well,
And apparently your bill speaks for you. You guys.
And you've gone through a
Of
metamorphosis.
course, I don't know.
Graham.
Y'all held it a week. I don't know.
And that's
Did
okay.
y'all change it that week, by the way?
We went back and reviewed it. Kind of like going stuff
I
that
never
happened.
heard of going clean into a committee to get a bill back. That was strange. Look, I'm ready to go to work, guys. I'm just as sincere as I can be. I'm telling you, I've worked with y'all for what, 3 years, 4 years, 3 years, 2 years, 3 years. So let's go. Let's keep going. I know that y'all's side is interested in going to work.
We're very
But
interested in
I,
work.
I would like just one answer, Chairman Hill. If you could just,
I can give you an answer.
yeah, go ahead, fire away.
Offers were made, y'all rejected them, so we're starting at the beginning. You should have accepted them.
Well, why don't you tell us what the
Oh,
offers
but-
were? I think that's a good discussion
brought 'em
point.
with
No, well, why don't you tell us? Since you offered them, why don't you just
No,
rehash
I
them for
didn't
us?
You know,
offer, but I know they were offered, and you got
And
them,
who
you
offered?
rejected
I guess
them.
who offered them is the next
You
question.
rejected them.
Who offered them?
We're not trying to hide who offered.
Well, who offered them?
The
You just-
lieutenant governor offered. and
Okay,
you
okay. Now,
rejected them.
we're
This is
starting. Now we're getting some answers to the question.
If they were so, if you're bringing them today, are you saying you accept them or not?
You're acting as if you're in denial
I'm not
that there was
denying.
any communication last week or any effort to try to communicate on the budget. Just say
Yes,
yes.
and you rejected the offer.
So you said yes.
No, we didn't. Listen, this is
That's not
there are two
right.
bodies
Just
involved.
say
There are
yes.
two bodies in
It's
legislature.
the truth.
To make a counteroffer is not a rejection. It means that we agree to some things, but we had some other things we wanted to do, and that's what our counteroffer did. It agreed to some of your items, but we had other items we wanted to change. We had other interest in. Y'all didn't make another offer. I've never been in a negotiation in my life,
okay,
Senator Williams,
I've
where
admitted
if I make
that-
an offer
I've
and they don't
admitted that
and they
the
come out with
offer
something
was
different, I
made.
just walk away.
I've admitted the offer was made. You
You rejected our offer.
You rejected the offer, so we're starting at the beginning. And
No,
that's it.
we didn't reject. We made a counteroffer. You never responded. That's a rejection from you on the offer.
No,
We'll be back in 30 minutes, and we'll have, hopefully, some agreement on something. 6
Well,
o'clock.
we don't have our differences sheet, Mr. Chairman.
Where are they?
We'll sit here and wait on it.
Sounds good.
Yeah, we can work off. We want to wait? Well, we need to wait. We need to have everybody have
minutes
one.
from whenever we get them.
All right, we can do that.
Okay.
All set.
We good? Thanks, today.
All right. Mr. Chairman, we, you want
Go right ahead, please.
I was just going to, say that, when I started looking through the things we agreed on, I realized that the important things that we agreed on are not in the differences report. But I think it bears saying to everybody here and to y'all that we have agreed on some pretty important things. The Peach Care funding, which is part of a prior agreement between the Speaker and Lieutenant Governor and Governor, that's in both documents, and that's taken care of, and that's important, obviously. The mid-year education figure, the 164, we agreed on that, and that's important as well. The disaster relief money, the $11 million, we agreed on that, and those are not even in the differences.
Yes.
That's not, when I started looking for them, that's when I realized that. The $9.0 million for state hospitals that y'all had in your budget, DHR, has been both budgets, and so that's agreed on.
I think we had split that into two programs. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's in 4.5 each.
And y'all
we
stated
agreed
those
the same
program
thing.
changes.
Yeah, it's in our bill the same way. And the homeowners tax cut, that $7 million on the homeowners tax refund or cut that we're taking as unclaimed funds. Then we agreed on that, and that's certainly good for everybody. So. We went through and we found a few things. If you want to talk about some things you found, we'll check them off our list. And if we got one you don't have, then we'll.
I think we're on pretty much the same thing. Most thing we found were, just what we all know, the differences. That's the biggest thing.
I think it's important to note that we all agreed on these things.
We agreed on some major issues. We've got some issues that are still pending that we need to deal with, and what we'd like to do, if we could, would you like to work from some of these? We think some things we'd like to offer that we think we might could agree with your positions on. If you'd like to kind of work from that, we could go by
Well, you got a list, or you just want to
We'll work
refer to a
right-
page
Just
number?
work right off the different sheet if you want.
Well, let's hear you off, and we'll mark them, and then we'll go back and come back and give you an answer on them.
First up, as we went through and we had later information, I think just like you did, the funding for the House Representatives, the 429 that you had taken out, we want to agree with you on that. And have that zero.
I just asked her about that a while ago. So.
We can make it easy to answer.
Good job that Robin does.
She does do a great job, and we appreciate what she does.
Very good.
Her efficiencies, I think, are why we're able to do that. The next,
We can keep her out of a special session, right?
I think that's what we're all working towards, Mr. Chairman. Next change, or the next offer we had to kind of agree with one of your positions was on page 12.
All right.
Under tourism, y'all had zeroed on the Resaca Battlefield, and we think that's a good change, and we'd like to go along with that. If we'd like to make that as an offer to you to agree with your position on that.
We looked at it, and I'm marking all these. We'll go back, and if there's any heartburn with any of them, we'll come back and tell you.
Okay.
Number
All of
26,
these are
26 and
7,
12 on.
Right?
Sir?
These are all where we're agreeing.
Agreeing to the Senate, yeah, to the Senate position on it.
Conceding to the Senate position.
I don't see that yet.
Concede on, yeah.
We just-
It's page 12, I'm sorry, item 2271. It's $3 million that we had in. It's zeroed under the Senate, and we agree with the zero. We think that's probably a good move.
Okay.
And so we'd like to go ahead and concede that one and agree to it. Next change is page 16. Item 2622, create the governor's litigation fund known for legal expenses for executive branch agencies. We had put in the 2.1 million, 2.15 million, and y'all had zeroed that, and we actually think that is a good move.
We have that on our list to give into yours, so we'll have to debate
Well,
who's going to give to who.
We're-
Well, you're receding from your position. You
But-
passed 2 items.
We're agreeing to the House position, so we had it on our list here.
But-
It is right here. So
We had already,
I am
Yeah,
confused too.
we
I
just-
actually had it on our list.
we were operating off what we got just a few hours ago and thought we were working on it.
I want to make sure, because I get confused with all the different offers. When we left here, you said take the Senate budget and the changes you made and look for areas of.
And we did the same.
What
Areas of agreement or
what
things
you
we give
passed,
in.
What your members passed, I think you said 50 to nothing,
Okay.
and you're changing that.
We're trying to work towards the same thing.
Well, okay, but I just
Okay.
need
Well, we had on our list to give in on, but you know what?
Okay. All right.
If that's what you want, we'll agree to that.
Okay.
It's no problem. What's the number again? I missed it.
2622, page 16.
I think it could be funded in 08 anyway.
Next one. Our next change. Page 24. Item 34-4, Hazardous Waste Trust Fund. At the increase of 6.3 that we put in and agreed to, and then y'all said zero to increase that Hazardous Waste Trust Fund, and we think that's a good move at this time. We want to concede to your position. We agreed to not add any money. I'm sure y'all have worked that.
34.4.1. Well, we understand that if we put it in continuation, it'll stay that way. We won't have to come back and amend it every time. So,
We're not, as we're changing these, we're not agreeing to anything in 08. I want to make that clear right now. We're just working from this document.
okay.
Next up, 4631 on page 35. Provide additional funding to state airports, $6 million. We had added $6 million to that. Y'all said zero, and we agree to your position on that.
3631.
And those are 5 items we think we can get agreement on, that we agree with your position not to fund. And
6 million. Okay. All right, let's see. We've got one for you that we'll agree, and it shows no difference in the different sheet, but there actually is, because it's tobacco funds, and y'all only list
Which one
state
is this?
funds. Page 15, I believe it is. it's the school nurse, it's $10 million a school nurse. Like I say, it doesn't show up as a difference, but there is a difference. And we would go with y'all's position on that.
How was there a difference?
That and the governor's position. Well, it's kind of complicated, but it basically, we took $10 million out in anticipation of new revenues coming in. The governor had reduced it by $10 million to reflect what was on hand last July. In effect, that is some disagreement. That may change the revenue estimate. So there's an abundance of caution. We would go back to the governor's position on that. That's not a give. I mean, that's not a y'all versus us. That's just the right thing to do. So
he was basing it on money that he actually had.
Yeah, and
He was basing it on anticipation, I guess, is kind of like what's happened.
yeah.
Okay, so
Sorry,
just
you
agreeing back to the $10 million, and it's I think we've taken it. It's no longer coming from tobacco. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's state funds that put into
no general funds.
into that program.
Y'all, Mr. King, you okay with that?
That was on page 15.
Burkhalter, you okay with that? Okay. We'll agree to that. It's not really a change there. All right.
All right. On page 22, this is an issue that we think speaks to the, if y'all are agreeable, and I think the first thing you said about our slimmed down version of the amendment was it's a good idea, we ought to do it next year. If we move on down this road where we're truly debating the items at the beginning of the big budget, then we won't get into situations where departments go ahead and sign contracts during the year and then expect to get the funds in the amended budget. I think we've all had issues with legislative intent, and frankly, there are several instances in the budget where the departments, with permission, went ahead and signed either contracts or granted, in some cases, CPI increases. But the one on DJJ, which is item 30.44, we understand is a contract, renewal of a contract with an increase that was signed maybe last fall without appropriations. But given the fact that it's already in operation and the fact that this is a transition year, we would agree to the governor's and / y'all's position on that, with that those $2 million in funds, because we understand.
It's one-time money too. Isn't that one-time money?
No, it's not. It's a but we, there again, I think that's probably the right thing to do. But as we move forward, and I think that we would probably all agree that plans ought to be made and budgets kept too, and some of these things that happen when we're all gone, that maybe those are things that departments don't need to expect to happen automatically anymore. That's one of the positives of the slim down.
Well, I mean, quite, in all honesty, we hadn't gotten to juvenile justice yet. We can take that into consideration if that's okay with the members. And
Now, we're going to your position. Jerry, is that right? I mean, why would you not agree to your position?
Probably the same reason you didn't agree.
Okay, well, but I relented and I apologize.
But I don't think we have a problem.
I mean, this ain't got anything to do with our negotiation. It's just something that we were actually making a statement that y'all not just.
All of our House members but one agreed to that.
We call that the Jack Murphy unanimous agreement. The other day, he said that the vote on his bill in the committee was unanimous except for one vote. So we call that the Jack Murphy unanimous vote. So I guess in that case, y'all. Yeah, we call that the Jack Murphy death penalty bill. It's be unanimous except for 2 votes or something like that. The other one is page 9. It's in DCH, and it's if you look at 17.4.2 and 17.4.3, if you add those, if you subtract the 5,988,928 from the 22,613,105, you get our total of 16,624,177. So they're actually the same. So that's an agreement that we, I think, can agree on.
That's 4.2 and 4.3.
4.2 and 4.3. This having to do with the quality assessment fees.
Right.
If you add those together and you look at ours as 0 at 0.2 and 16.6 at 0.3, you add those together, it's the same figure. So.
Are there any effects to that other than being in a different program? Is anybody affected by
Greg
that?
is our DCH guy.
No, it's still be under the Injured Care Trust fund. It's just numbers.
Yeah, well, those numbers will get you in trouble, Mr. Goggins, if you don't understand them sometimes. That's why I'm asking. So nobody's going to be affected by that. It's just because I know the numbers are the same. Okay.
I don't. As far as I know, there's no other aspect to it.
Ms. Burkholz? Questions? Okay.
The other thing I noticed that we agreed on that I appreciate too was the veterans money for the 718. Y'all had in your budget, and we had in ours for the one-time pharmacy costs for the veteran service. Y'all had it in your budget, and we had it in
it's
ours.
an agreement.
So that's an agreement. It's not listed the differences, but that was, I think, pretty important to them. I forgot that one a while ago.
One time I was thinking about it.
Okay.
I see one there that we actually increased over years. That went under it. On the dish thing, I might want to think about that. It's actually an increase. Consider that. I don't have it on the list
I
right
think we like that one.
Okay.
I think at this time we do.
Your number. We might put that on.
Y'all on the veterans house position.
Well, we hadn't talked about it yet, so probably need to poll the conferees on that.
All right.
Okay. Let's see if that covered everything. I think one of our differences that we haven't got agreement on yet is the public defender number.
Yes, sir. That's
That down is something that's a different number. Those are all the ones that jumped out at us as agrees. I would say something. Are y'all watching the revenue figures? Y'all read that report Friday?
yes, sir.
We're pretty concerned about reserve and the fact that if there's ever been a budget that we need to look for every dollar we can transfer the reserve, this is probably it. So just food for thought.
We're looking at that. Now, we've made some proposals, and you've made some, and I guess we're going to all go back and look at those.
Yeah,
Come back.
Why don't we identify some things we ought to get together on?
Well, we brought up some more and bring us back some.
Yeah, we'll try to come up with other views. See, I don't have any preconceived notions, but I mentioned a couple there. I'd love to see if y'all got a compromise position on the dish and the public defenders. See if we
Okay. We'll look at those. And
When we meet back, y'all going to bring us some items that you feel like you can come to agree with us on from house on?
well, let's take a look and see. If we strike out, we'll come back and just tell you.
What are we coming back to meet on?
We can come back or we can go to dinner, either one. But we're ready to go ahead and go back and try to find some more.
We got the differences sheets.
we're
We went
willing to
back.
stay here all night. We just need to know
we're prepared
what
to
we're
stay
coming
here
back for.
all
We
night.
want to. I think the hope is that we can keep moving along. If y'all can agree with what we've offered, and then we can work out some agreements on what you've offered. Maybe we can get that moving. But what are we coming back for? I think it's what we're.
Okay. Well,
Could y'all want to go through some items and find some more?
We'll go back and see what kind of proposal we can come up with. Y'all kind of come up with one too. We've got a slim budget. We ain't gonna be able to come up with 25 items every time, because we're going to run out of stuff pretty quick. We've already agreed, and 75% is what's in our budget. So, from here on, we're going to be dealing with whether we need to add it or not. And I just, I just got to tell you, when we did 07, here's the test we used. We asked the question, Is it critical? Is it emergency, or is it constitutionally mandated? And then we made a list, and that's what we used to come up with it. And that's the question we're going to ask about different projects.
Well, we have different criteria. We use things for economic development, healthcare, natural preservation, local money.
We do too,
all that kind
and
of
in the
stuff. So that's what we do. So I don't know that's happening.
and in the big budget, we're more than welcome to.
That's where I'm going with it. I want to say this, we just conceded $18 million.
Of the governor's money.
$18 million of the Senate position.
Of the governor's money.
Taxpayers' money.
It was taxpayers'
Taxpayers'
money,
money.
not the governor's money. It's not the
He doesn't
governor's
make enough
money.
to put all
Senate
that.
position. You said work off this, and what we'd like to see is the Senate come back our way now, son.
Well,
See
I
that
think
we're
we just
working
did.
on
I think we just agreed on some things.
Well, those are
So
things we already
we're
had
interested in your
agreements
proposal, and we'll look at it, but I'm just telling you, we're not agreeing to stuff that, you know, it's not under this
Maybe we'll find
criteria.
some of their stuff that we think might be an emergency that we didn't
We'll
fund.
go back and look. I think the governor's got some stuff we probably
If,
should.
if we're sincere about working this out, we're prepared to stay here all of it. If we're going to sit here and just
We've
sort of
never
shuffle
we've
money
never
back
missed a
and
meeting
forth,
yet.
you know, then let's don't. But if you're ready to start talking about the items on the list, then that's what we just did. $18 million we just laid down on the table.
Well,
Yeah, we actually offered up some of our stuff, and so I think that's a good faith proposal. If y'all ready to
You got
accept
a
it.
long way to go before you get.
Well, we're not offering up all of our stuff. I mean,
Well, I'm
but
just
we're
telling
trying
you.
to get to a point.
Well-
Most everything we have, we feel like will meet that or meet the economic development and other things that we try to do. Because
That's the question we're going to ask.
well,
Well, we'll be glad to go back and look at some things, see if we can come up with some items to talk. How much time y'all need?
We're waiting here for
we're here for
Well, now, wait a minute. We ain't coming back with just a proposal. Y'all got to come with something, too. You know,
We just did.
$18 million.
well, we just gave you some, too. We
How much?
met you
Wanna total those
halfway.
up real quick?
Well, I think the school nurses was $10 million right there.
You said yourself there was no difference. It was just a fund
Is
source.
there a difference or is
Let's
there
don't
not?
play games.
Come on.
This is not. We're not going to play games here all
It's
night.
just a position.
You're playing games.
We
Playing
gave you your
this is not.
position.
We're not going to play. Do y'all want to truly negotiate? Do we
We
want to go
just-
back to what
we
y'all
just
sent last
did.
week and truly negotiate? Is that what we got to do? Because
just
we're
gave you-
trying to negotiate.
We just gave you funds in DJJ and DCAs.
Try to get a litigation.
We tried to give you that, yeah. So, I mean, the fact that you didn't,
Try to give us
take
what?
it is, yeah.
Did you take what we
What
gave
do y'all
y'all?
want to do? Yeah, we're ready to go.
You take what we gave y'all?
We agree with the items as we went along. We agreed to it.
So y'all agreed to all those?
It's just funds. It's not positions. The airport money is the only thing that y'all truly added. The rest of it is we didn't take money from the governor. A lot to me.
Not take from anybody.
It's taxpayer
It's a
money.
budget.
Sure it is. And you know what? We did the same thing. That's why y'all agreed to our position. So, hey, we're willing to look at it, but y'all, you know, we're going to run out of items because we've got our budget right here. You know, we're not interested in anything beyond
We got
that.
ours
We're
too.
not
Well,
interested in-
come back to us with a list of things you're
No,
willing
it's
to.
not that.
Come
We're
on.
going to work on this together. We're going to sit up here and play that game.
We'll work on it together. But I'm just telling you, we're going to run out of items on our list.
Now, what we're going to do is we're going to run out of time because we're sitting here willing to negotiate. Now, are you going to negotiate or not?
Well, I'm just telling you right now, the amended budget is nowhere to be adding $50 million in projects.
Well, yeah, I'm gonna keep talking until you get tired of listening to me. But this April 6th leather, you very clearly willing to have $60 million in project, and maybe we'll attach this as an exhibit to the working documents from now
You're
on.
welcome.
Get your
Take
compass
your best
back
shot.
to where
Yeah,
I think
take
it
your best
was
shot.
before you had your, as I called it, a metamorphosis. But we'll just attach this as an exhibit, and we'll just kind of remind you of where you were,
Yeah.
and you know your change in heart today, or going back to what you originally thought was right. I'm not sure where you are, but we'll use this as a
You're
As
welcome
an
to use
exhibit.
anything you like. That's,
Maybe we'll-
that's your right.
well, it is.
We stand behind our budget we passed today.
We stand behind that.
We stand behind ours.
Okay.
We showed up to negotiate in good faith. I was hoping that y'all would try to do that, and I hope that you still will.
Well, I hope so too.
But just going over what we agreed to in our first budgets is not good faith. Offer something.
Well, that's your definition. Okay.
Yeah.
What time you want to come back, Mr. Chairman?
Are y'all gonna bring back an offer?
We'll look at some stuff, but
Will you
we're not
bring back an
we're not in the offering business. We've got our budget right here. We're not going to be able to offer you $20 million in projects. We don't have it.
You can offer to agree to our
Our offer is
positions.
reserve. Won't you agree to our reserve number?
Won't you agree to our positions?
Well, we'll bring our reserve number back and see if you can work off of that. You guys, y'all just misunderstood
Yeah.
the whole thing. Y'all
We
misunderstood
misunderstood the
Lieutenant
whole
Governor and the
thing.
whole.
You know what we misunderstood? Because we got about 4 different messages from y'all last week. We had bonds 1 minute, we had prepaying debt, then we had bonds, then we had 60 million and want to do with new spending, then we say 50 million is too much.
hold on.
How about let's get the same message? If y'all can maybe coordinate, only 56 of you, won't y'all discuss it?
You gonna work off this list or not?
I just want to again say, this letter dated April 6th says, therefore I propose that we do the following. I'm going to jump down to paragraph 3. Agree to allow the House and Senate to each select $30 million in projects for a total of $60 million in projects for the FY07 amended budget.
And you said what?
No.
No.
That's not true.
You said no.
That's right. No, that is, no.
No, you
None
said
of us
no,
were
we
in the
want more
negotiation.
projects.
No. Well, I can't help that.
I don't know. Yeah,
All of ours, when the speaker receives communication, he communicates with all of us and lets us know what the offer is, and we communicate back to him. I
Well, do
can't
y'all
help
accept it now?
that. So, we'll
Y'all accepting that now?
Now, when we were up
I
there
make
last
it,
time, we
I
said
make
we'll
it
work
simple.
on
Well,
that.
I'm
And
just,
I
is
said
that your
before-
proposal?
No, I
just
said,
asking.
maybe we'll use it
It's
as an
just a good
exhibit.
question.
You don't want us to propose anything without you proposing anything, and it seems like vice
Well,
versa.
you want to put it on
Maybe
the
we'll-
table,
well,
then
You all
we'll-
accepting that
all right,
proposal?
man.
Do you accept
Majority
it?
leader?
You accept it?
I don't know.
Do you accept it?
You got it in your
I'm
hand.
asking
I don't have
you.
it.
Do you accept it?
You
It came
offered
from your
it.
body. Do you accept it?
Do you
offer
agree
it?
with the, do
It
you
was
agree
offered,
with the
y'all
lieutenant
turned it
governor?
down.
Do you stand by
So
your
you
offer?
accept
Do
it?
you stand by
You stand by
your
this
I
offer?
didn't make the offer.
Do you, well, the lieutenant governor, does anybody here speak to
You
lieutenant
turned the
governor?
offer down.
Do
Are
you-
you accepting it
Does
now?
he stand by the, do you guys stand with him on this offer?
Hey,
You all
guys.
turned the offer down. We started.
Do you
looking at
stand,
budget.
do you stand by what you wrote in the document?
I didn't write it in the
Do,
document.
would you stand by what the lieutenant governor wrote in the
No,
document?
we didn't come here to be cross-examined. We're saying
Well,
an offer
I'm
was
not an
made
attorney,
in good
but-
faith to try to get to a solution. You all turned it down, so we're starting at the beginning.
So you're
In a conference
withdrawing
committee.
your offer of April 6th, is what you're saying?
I didn't make you an
It was
offer,
not.
guys.
Well, you're withdrawing the lieutenant governor's offer.
So what
of
you-
April 6th.
You're saying it was accepted.
No,
we never
I'm
had.
asking
Well,
you if
it's
you
either
rejected
just-
or
It
accepted.
just came
You're
in.
saying it's
It just
neither.
came in yesterday, and then it was communicated to us that what you were going to do. So we're here to negotiate, and if
So
that's
you
an
all
offer,
didn't know about that?
that's what we just said.
Now, if we got an email from the speaker saying differently, what would that mean?
You had an email from the speaker saying different.
Staff.
We're just, once again, we're just trying to get an answer.
All right, I mean,
Are you withdrawing?
If that's the only thing you got.
The only thing I got, it's from the lieutenant governor, presiding officer of the Senate of the state of Georgia.
If y'all want to put that offer on the table and make it, we'll talk
Do
about
you
it.
stand by it?
I stand by our budget we passed
So
today.
you don't stand by it?
We're standing by the
That
budget
answer,
we
by
passed
virtue of
today.
that answer, you're saying you don't
You
stand by the lieutenant
negotiating
governor's
something
offer.
that, has never been to the table. We stand by our budget we passed today, and I guess y'all.
So we're not
stand by
going to
yours.
negotiate the projects that we've worked on to put in here,
We're going to.
whether they're important or not.
We're
You just
gonna
have to offer
negotiate
up that we don't want
We're
them.
going to negotiate.
And then you'll
with
agree
our
if we,
reserve
you
number.
agree with us that we don't want them.
We're going to negotiate with our reserve number.
You're going to negotiate from your reserve number.
Sure.
You mean you're willing to
There's
reduce your reserve
There's
number
been a year we need to put more money in reserve. It's just right now.
to let it lapse into reserves? You can't actually
Absolutely.
appropriate it into reserves.
Absolutely. The last figures I saw, we've started eating into the mid-year education reserve for the end of '07. If there's ever been a year we need to put more money in reserve, it's this year.
And why
If
do
there's been a
you?
year we don't need to be caught funding projects like y'all
Why is
have.
that?
This is the year.
Why is that?
So we don't need to fund the projects. Well, why don't you take that whole 134 million you put into prepaid debt? Why don't you put it in reserves?
You know, I don't know. Everything's worthy of consideration when you do a full year budget.
Well, what's the prepaid for? Why don't you put it in reserves? If reserves are so important, what's that over in 08 for?
We put it over there to try to discuss everything that needs to be done in '08, including the governor's projects and other things.
So
that
you
are,
put it over for projects.
Good projects. But there
You put
won't
it
be
over
enough money to do
projects.
everything y'all did.
So you put it over there for projects. Is what it's there for. So it's a.
I don't know.
It wasn't a
Projects,
philosophy.
programs,
It was
you
a,
know,
it was
some
shifting a
of it's
fund source to
ongoing,
come up
you
with
know.
something new to
A
spend it
lot
on.
of it's 40 million of it.
Come up with a Senate idea to spend it on. That's what we're
40
talking
million
about.
of it is savings that we won't even be repeated.
Are-
We have $67 million in this budget in reserves.
Jack, are y'all
Well,
willing
it's
to
left
come
out there to
back
lapse
if we
into
bring
reserves.
back
Let's see.
another
Let
offer,
him
which we
finish
just,
his point.
we just brought back
Here, let
another
him
offer?
finish the point. Were you fixing that?
Do what now?
No, I was just
Well, y'all-
saying,
Oh, it's true.
we have $67 million in reserves in our budget.
As of today.
And so that's our statement is in the situation we're in, and the state's in financially.
What situation?
Well, you didn't read the latest revenue report?
They were down 2% for the month.
I just said
We're
we're
up almost-
already eating into 08 education budget for the 08 amended. We think we need to put money in the rainy day fund, frankly. And that is a negotiating
How
position.
much do we put in rain day funds?
Lapse will be about 790 to
$800 million.
Say $100 million. It's in there.
If we make the budget. We don't think we're going to make the budget.
We're like year to date, boy.
We're not going to lapse $100 million in the budget.
Yeah, we're about, is it about 6%?
About
We're up?
6%, couple million bucks. Yeah.
So
We
with,
have to take out fuel and that 6%.
Here's the deal. We really want to start making some offers, folks, or we just wasting
We'll
time?
make us an
we did. We just did, Jack.
Are you going to come
In
back
good
up
faith,
and
we
on
just
time?
sat here
We
with
come back up
5
here,
projects over $18 million.
we just laid $18 million on
We
the
agreed to
table.
your positions.
We'll look and see, but I'm just telling
Okay,
you,
that's fair.
you're
You
not
look
getting
at-
there. We're
Okay,
not getting
okay, you
there
look and
with
see.
all your
So
projects.
if we come
yet.
back up
It's not
here,
going to happen.
if you come back up here, you're going to come back up with some things that we'll look at.
We'll look at it and see if we see anything we like.
Okay, all right, that's.
But
so
you need to
you're gonna look and see
understand,
if
you
see
need to
anything you
understand that the only amount we're working from is our figure.
like. So, but you're going to look at our
Your
budget
figure.
and see it where you can.
Your
maybe
figure of the
agree with
total
it.
budget?
This time, we come up with some this time.
Let's see. I think we made a more than good faith offer.
We've been very generous in our office. We agree with your positions. I mean,
Well, going to zero was a good move
From 0 what?
on those projects. It was a good move. That's a good start.
I think it's short-sighted and not a good budget. All right. When do you want to meet back?
Give me a time.
y'all got to bring my proposal.
7 now.
Why don't we say
20 what is it?
Why don't we say 8 o'clock?
What time is it?
8
6:40?
o'clock. 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock.
All right, we ready?
Oh, that's right.
We on live here?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to ask you, we have brought you a proposal, and we're going to ask, one of the things that I get a email from one of my constituents that has to be watching this at home on the computer and said, when we're all talking at one time, they can't hear. So what I'm going to ask is, and that's fair, I'm going to ask that if y'all will let us get through this, not interrupt us, then we won't say anything, let y'all have the floor. Is that fair? All right. First thing, the House and the House Budget Office worked very, very hard on putting the amended 07 budget together. I don't know that our team ever spent more hours, as reflected in I think, the acceptance by the House. We decided, we believe that a prudent way to budget is to take, and when you come in, if we can afford to do something like most citizens of Georgia do, they meet their obligations first, and then if they have money left over at the end of the month, or at the end of their pay period, then they decide to do those expenditures they think they can afford. We believe investing in economic development projects, health care, education, green space are legitimate investments back to our community and benefit not only all of our citizens, but certainly all of our taxpayers. But I think what became apparent to us at our last meeting is we simply, it's appeared to us that y'all have got a position you're not willing to retreat from and negotiate with. So with that, we have given it some thought, and we are bringing an offer to you, which I'm going to ask the chairman to explain in detail. Since rather than us argue over what's a better use of the money, our recommendation is that we take the $140 million on the table and let's give it back to the taxpayers of Georgia and let them decide how to invest it in their own communities. This would be done for one time, back to our homeowners. And I'm going to ask the chairman of appropriations, Chairman Harvin, to explain the details.
Thank you, Leader King. We went back, we did some research and saw that currently we have nearly $800 million in reserves, which is the highest number we believe ever in money that we've had in reserves. And we think that's a good number. We feel like it's a number that will help hold this state and sustain it. And we have grown those reserves over the past few years because of the leadership of the House and the Senate and the governor. And we believe that now is the time, if we're not going to invest this money into the communities and economic development and education, natural resources, the best thing to do is return it to the people that sent it here. For a one-time increase in the homeowners relief grant, and this will go to every homeowner in the state. This is what we're looking at doing. We hope that you will support it. It meets what you've done on Peach Care. It meets our disaster relief. Meets many of the things that you included and that we agreed on. Public defenders, we add back the 2.3 to take that to what was the more accurate number to meet those critical needs that they had. That is an emergency. We're asking you to fund the KIA. That is too important. This state, the only way we continue to grow this state, which y'all seem to be concerned about, is the growth of this state, is to make sure we make the investments into growth in this state. And KIA is a good project statewide. Education, the school nurses, we want to do that. And then it's a one-time homeowner relief grant. Raise that from $10,000 to $12,750. That is a total of $142 million tax cut to the people of Georgia. And we're asking you to support that. We don't think this is a time to hoard the money and put it over in 08. If we truly want to be fiscal conservatives, let's be fiscal conservatives, and let's put this money back into the hands of the people that sent it to us. And we'll negotiate 08 based on the numbers of 08. And that is our proposal. Mr. Burkhalter, I think you had a few comments.
Yeah, I think that just in summation, let's just be honest with each other. The clock is ticking. We're at an impasse, and I think we have to admit that. I've heard talk tonight about the governor's money, the House money, the Senate money. We need to humbly remind ourselves it's the taxpayers' money. The state of Georgia is a model citizen. The highest credit score you can get, highest bond rating you can get, great savings account. The proposal that the Senate has as far as funding the reserves further is not even a 0.5%. So I think we have to put it in perspective and be honest with ourselves. The time is coming to an end, and you guys know that. I mean, we want to get the 08 to you by Thursday. And quite candidly, if we don't get it to you by Thursday, I'm not going to say the word that we all don't want to hear. But we're going to a point where it's crunch time. The reality is we can't seem to decide, very evident from your proposal and ours, as to how the money should be spent. We feel like that we were elected by the taxpayers, and they empower us to make decisions. We feel like a lot of the funding initiatives that we put in the budget are good ones and items that taxpayers would like, quite honestly. However, out of abundance of caution and understanding the impasse, let's let them decide. They have overpaid into the system. And we talk about this amended budget project or process. It's an overpayment is what it is. So let's give it back. I would propose to you to look at the proposal the chairman and the leader have spelled out, and I'd propose that we come back either at 10:30 tonight or 8 o'clock in the morning. And I hope you'd consider that.
Walk me through this, if you don't mind. Let me see if I can grasp what you're doing here. Now, the 134 figure comes from where?
That's your prepayment of debt, isn't it?
So that's our prepayment of debt that we were rolling over into
And
08.
that you were moving in 08.
All right. And then the shortfall reserve is the amount that we showed in the reserve today.
That you wanted to let lapse into reserves at the end of the fiscal year, hoping that
And
amount was there.
These are cuts or adds?
Those are ads. We're asking you to add those back. They'll put those back at the amounts that
So
were
that would be the House
Yeah.
position on public defenders.
the governor's position, as you've been pointing out earlier on the discussions we were noticing.
Kia.
Or actually the position from the judicial. It's a judicial position, and it is a, yes, it's judicial position, I'm sorry.
Okay, all right.
But that is for, because
and
they still
then-
need that because of the Nichols case, and we don't want to jeopardize that in any way.
Okay, and then the community affairs, the Kia, that's the construction money.
That is all the governor's position.
Okay, and then the education is thing we
We
already
agreed on that
agreed
swap
on
too
that.
earlier, yes, sir.
Okay. Now I'm trying to figure out. You get down here.
Those
the
numbers,
142. You're just basically spending our reserve and the amount we rolled over. Now, what are you going to do with the rest of the budget?
the rest of the budget is the budget that y'all sent to us, Senator Hill.
The rest of the budget is the budget y'all sent to us.
Which is what we agreed on, peace care, disaster relief, and all those other projects. But these are things we thought were worthy and needed to be done. I think you'll see they probably meet the need of emergency.
Did you
or critical
consider any other
constitutional.
kind of tax cut? I mean, like an income tax
I think,
cut?
I think the only tax cut we can do is we have the
You're
ability.
the car tax.
I am, and
And he's-
what's the number on that? Well, my proposal was a phase-in proposal, but roughly $145 million, ironically, was about the cost of the first year of the phase-in.
So what you're saying, though, is that the amount that we would not be putting in reserve, that you all would refund it a year from now to
No, sir.
homeowners.
Yes,
So
we would
it's
want
a
this
year
refunded.
ahead.
We would want this refunded this year.
One time.
Well, it's a
One
year
time.
ahead, though. I mean, we give the money to the county, and then they give it to them off their next tax bill. So we
They can
pre-fund
give
it.
that to them this year.
So, let me understand, the exemption to $10,000,
That's your current.
and after 1 year, it goes back to $10,000.
Yes, sir, it's one time.
Right.
We truly believe that if we can't come to an agreement, we don't need to risk a special session. Let's give this money back to the people that sent it, and let's move on to 08, and let's quit playing games.
We've been very serious. We'll certainly take it and go look at it. And we can come back sooner than 10:30. Y'all want to go eat or?
10:30.
It's okay. I mean,
10:30 or
I mean,
8. And y'all, okay,
10:30.
it doesn't matter to us.
Serious proposition.
10:30 is
We're very serious in this
fine.
proposition. We'd like to move on it if we could. We've got to get to 08.
10:30 be fine.
Sounds good.
See you at 10:30.
Thank you.